Hey everyone, it's Emma and welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be talking about food deserts, particularly why not everyone can eat healthy, eat plastic free, and eat vegan. And we're going to be focusing on why this mostly applies to minority groups. This was first brought to my attention just a few months ago, and honestly I'm a little embarrassed to say that I didn't know about this before then. I'm not trying to give myself any slack, but I grew up in a small town of just 2,000 to 3,000 people. It's kind of one of those communities that you kind of get sucked into and you don't really know what happens outside of that community. And it's really sad that that happens, but that's just the truth of it. And I know that's the case for a lot of communities across the United States. So that's why I make videos like this one, to educate people who live in these small communities and don't really know what goes on outside of them. I will leave the original video that I watched linked down below. On YouTube, she goes by Tiana Empowers. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. But I really encourage you to check out that video as well as others on her channel because she sheds a lot of light on these controversial and also very important issues like this one. And I wanted to make a video similar to hers because I know a lot of people in my demographic, white people, don't really know about what goes on in minority communities, and I wanted to shed some light on it. And of course, not necessarily white people, but also people who have a steady income and don't have to experience going without fresh groceries for a few weeks. Basically, what it comes down to is people like me, we have the money to choose when, where, and what we eat, while people who do not have a steady or a good quality of income, they don't have that choice. They eat to survive and they eat whatever they can. Like I said, I want to shed some light on that. Not everyone can live low waste. Not everyone can live perfectly zero waste. Not everyone can eat healthy. Not everyone can eat vegan. That's just the straight up truth. So if you see someone eating packaged food, don't shame them because in reality, you don't know everyone's full life story. So the big moral of this video is do not judge someone by one thing that they do. Honestly, don't judge someone by anything that they do. You've never walked a day in their life, so you don't really know what they're going through and why they make those actions that they do. Of course, I think education is always important because, like I'm trying to do here on this channel, I'm trying to make zero waste accessible for every single person, and not zero waste, I kind of hate that term, low waste. So you can check out my practical sustainability series and other videos that I've made, like free ways to live zero waste, which is just simple things like shutting off the lights when you leave a room, shutting off the AC when you go to school or work, things like that. Anyways, that's not the point of this video, but basically people with low income, they do what they can to survive. If they can eat healthy, great, but honestly, the bottom line is they just need to eat. And what is not okay, and what I think a lot of people don't know, is that many areas across the US don't have good options either. So even if someone does have the income to afford fresh produce, the grocery stores in their area don't even have the options that are nutritious and healthy. And this is what is known as a food desert. They are usually considered to be places where those living in that area do not have access to affordable and nutritious foods, mostly fruits, vegetables, and whole grains. These areas have very few, if any, grocery stores and farmers markets, and instead have convenience stores and gas stations where there are limited healthy options. This makes nutritious eating, low-waste eating, and plant-based eating nearly impossible and inaccessible to most families in these areas. As always, I will leave all of my sources linked down below for you to do your own research if you want. And not only this, but other factors can contribute to why they can't get these groceries in the first place. Like I said, it might not necessarily be low-income families, but because they live in an area where there's only gas stations, convenience stores, and fast food. These families might not have a car. There might not be a bus system or a train system for these people to actually get to the grocery store that has the fresh fruit and vegetables. It's much easier to make money stretch with boxed meals, frozen meals, and things like that. It's a lot harder to make money stretch when you're eating salads and sandwiches and all this other healthy stuff because it costs more and it doesn't necessarily make as much either. It is also cheaper and quicker to buy these types of meals, especially when it comes to single parents and working parents. All of this contributes into what we know as food deserts and why a lot of people across the US and the entire world can't eat healthy foods. Though one factor remains constant, and that is that most experts consider food deserts to be in urban areas. Property costs are higher here, which might inhibit grocers from moving in. Let's go take a look and see where in the United States food deserts are the most common. In the United States, food deserts tend to be the most common in the southern United States and the Midwestern United States, particularly in Louisiana and Mississippi. According to a USDA study, higher income areas see around 24,000 large grocery stores and markets, while lower income areas see only 19,700. And what I mean here when I say low income is anything less than $25,000 annual income. And nearly half of these low income households are within a food desert. Therefore, low income neighborhoods and low income households often face food deserts, especially those who also don't have access to a car. More than 2 million homes within food deserts do not have access to a vehicle and must rely on public transportation. Because a higher percentage of operating and shipping costs into urban areas, groceries here also cost an average of 37% more than groceries do in the suburbs. That means someone who lives in an urban area who makes the same amount of money as someone who lives in a suburban area, their paycheck will not stretch nearly as far as someone who lives in the suburbs. So that means families tend to opt for cheaper options, even if that means it's not as healthy. Food deserts also commonly have smaller populations, lower levels of education, unemployment rates are higher, there are more vacant homes, and there are more minority residents. A USDA report in 2012 noted that food deserts are mostly made up of low-income minority and ethnic groups in comparison to wealthier, predominantly white neighborhoods. There are a lot of impacts when it comes to food deserts, and clearly the first one is health. When someone doesn't have access to fruits and vegetables, their bodies miss out on vital nutrients. Not to mention, the processed foods often lead to weight gain. Weight gain can of course lead to other issues like diabetes, heart disease, cancer, and more. Unhealthy eating can also affect the rate in which children develop, and it can lead to weaker immune systems, stunted growth, and even cognitive issues. And this can even begin before children are born too. If a pregnant woman does not get vital nutrients, neither does the baby. Another thing that exists is food swamps. So the difference between a food desert and a food swamp, neither of them, food deserts and food swamps, have grocery stores or farmers markets. But the difference is that food swamps are also packed with fast food restaurants. And something else to know is that not all food deserts might be reported, and this is because of small grocery stores that primarily sell packaged food. So technically they are grocery stores, but they still don't offer very many options. They offer basically the same options that a convenience store or a gas station might. And unfortunately, these small grocery stores are still placed into the same category of bigger grocery stores like Whole Foods, which makes the data a little skewed. There are also food mirages, and I found this one really interesting. It's basically like placing a health food store like Whole Foods or a bulk store or something like that in a low-income neighborhood. So in theory, they have access to this stuff, but nobody there can even afford it. And of course, food insecurity is another factor, and that refers to limited or insecure access to food, mostly based on finances. And lastly, the waste issue. I'm not saying that they should be shopping low waste by any means, but by not providing the citizens with access to low waste options, then how are we supposed to live low waste? That goes for anyone. I definitely don't live in a food desert by any means. I'm very grateful for the options I have, but we have very few unpackaged options. So that's the same for these low-income neighborhoods. They don't have access to unpackaged fruits and vegetables. They don't have access to fruits and vegetables in the first place. They only have access to processed packaged foods, which leads to an increase in waste. Getting food is, of course, the most important thing, but what I'm saying is our governments, our grocery stores are not even allowing us to have low waste options, no matter our income. So what can we even do about this? First, educate yourself. Now, I know getting smart on this issue is not really gonna help solve anything, at least immediately, but the more of us that know about this, the more that we can vote correctly, sign petitions, donate, and get our resources to the right places. Once you read up on all of these issues, try to place yourself in that person's shoes. If you live in or near a food desert and you have the option, try to help out. Offer a ride to your neighbor. Try to sign a petition to get better public transportation. See if there's an empty building that someone can start a farmer's market in. There are a lot of options when it comes to you making a direct impact in your neighborhood. You could even start a community garden, help others learn to garden as well. And of course, something that we can all do is voting. Voting for the right people for your city, for your state, for your country, for your region, whatever it may be. And a candidate who believes strongly in eliminating food deserts and getting healthy, unpackaged, nutritious food to every single person is great. You can also run a food drive to help the local community, and I don't mean go out and buy a bunch of ramen noodles and Kraft mac and cheese. Buy things, even if it is canned, beans and corn and tomatoes and other healthy stuff. Even though it's canned, it is still much more nutritious than boxed and frozen dinners. So by donating some of your money, some of your time, going out and doing grocery shopping for people who can't afford it, really does make a big impact in their lives. And something else that we need to keep in mind is that even though grocery stores might pop up in these food deserts, and even if they are affordable, that doesn't mean that people are gonna change their habits. If people have lived in a food desert their entire life, they're gonna be used to eating frozen dinners, and they're still probably not gonna change. It's hard to break a routine, even if it is unhealthy, especially for children. So nutrition, information, and education is a vital step too. Of course, the first step is to help people directly, but once they get the help directly, we need to educate them on healthy options. The Community Food Project's competitive grant program funds sustainable food projects to help low-income communities gain access to more nutritious food, as well as making sure they have culturally acceptable dishes. Things they help with are increasing the availability of healthy foods with grocery stores, markets, community gardens, food assistance programs, and food buying clubs, all while making it affordable. They also provide nutrition education and encourage healthy behaviors, plus food production and preparation education. The Community Food Projects Competitive Grant Program. That's a long title. This organization helps every single step along the way. They help to get grocery stores, not only grocery stores, but grocery stores with healthy options. Once they do that, they educate the consumer on what options they should buy. Another important thing that they do, and something that maybe you can do in your own neighborhood too, is by teaching people how to cook. Because if people are just used to throwing a frozen dinner in the microwave, they're not gonna know how to properly chop and cook vegetables. Something that I love about this program is that they're doing more than just popping up grocery stores and walking away. They're actually helping every single step along the way. If you wanna check out more from them, their site will be linked down below, as well as I found a food desert locator. So this can help you determine if you are in a food desert to try to help your neighbors and people in your area, or this can even be helpful to you to donate to the right neighborhoods, donate to the right organizations in those neighborhoods. Overall, I hope that you enjoyed this video. Maybe not necessarily enjoyed it, but I hope that you learned something valuable from this. I hope that it opened your eyes, opened your heart a little bit to the issues that other people are facing. And all in all, I hope that this reminds you to not judge someone because they're not vegan, because they can't shop low waste. Everyone has a different story. Everyone lives in different circumstances, and I just really encourage you to try to put yourself in someone's shoes and don't judge them. That's all I'm really trying to get at. If you found this video informative, you learned something, and you think someone else can learn something from this, I really encourage you to share this video. This is something that is very important and I think a lot of people need to talk about. It's way too common in the United States and other countries as well, and honestly not that many people know about it unless you actually live in a food desert. If you enjoyed this video and found it helpful, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up. It really does help support this video and get this message across to more people. If you're new here, I don't just talk about stuff like this, I talk about all aspects of low waste and sustainable living, trying to make it affordable, easy, and accessible to almost everyone. That is my goal here with this channel, as well as to make it fun. So if you're new here, I wanted to invite you to hit that subscribe button. It would really make my day. I really do appreciate every single person who subscribes to my channel and watches these videos. It always puts a smile on my face. I love engaging with you guys in the comments too, so if you want to leave any sort of comments down below, feel free to do that. I will probably reply. Thank you so much for spending some time with me. Again, I hope you learned something from this video. Let me know if you want me to make any other videos along this topic. Thank you so much for watching, and until next time, remember that these small changes you make have a big impact in the long run. Bye, guys. Today we're going to be talking about to educate people in these small communities. Oh my gosh. There's gonna be 8 million bloopers today because you've never walked in their shoes in a day in their life. Why did I say it like that? Just a quick tangent. Where even was I? Doesn't stretch nearly as far as someone who lives in a suburban area. Yeah, I don't know what I was saying. Just delete all that past me. Future me. Of course, getting food is of course, because if people are just used to throwing, whoa, that was a stutter. Because low waste, sustainable living can be a lot of fun. So if you're new here, I wanted to just tell you to subscribe. Small changes you make have a big impact in the long run. Bye guys. Oh, I said that weird. Particularly, which one's Mississippi? That's Alabama, right? Well, I don't want to point to the wrong one. I should put it on autofocus. There we go. Hey, no, up here. Eyes up here. Oh my god, I'm recording. These bloopers, man. These are probably some funny bloopers. You're welcome. Hope you enjoy my cat toy. That's my pointer. Okay. Southern United States and the Midwestern United States. Particularly, slow down.